How's it going? It's Nathan Hawken and welcome to the video. Now, I hope you saw the first part of this video series about taking back your unconscious mind. This is part 2 in the series, and I've got another video coming out next week, which will be part 3 to really finish it off for you. If you didn't see part 1, I'd highly recommend you going back to last week's video and checking it out, but I'll give you a quick recap anyway. In part 1, we covered how your unconscious mind processes around 11 million bits of information per second, while your conscious mind only handles around 125 bits of information per second. That means that 99.9% of your decisions are made below your awareness. Then we identified 3 unconscious patterns which are controlling your business. We uncovered the avoidance pattern, where you forget or get too busy for what really matters. The impulse pattern, where you say yes to things but you actually mean no. And the sabotage pattern, where you're creating problems right before a breakthrough. If you didn't watch the first part, I've put a link in the description below so you can find it there and check it out. So now, for part 2, we're going to dig deeper. Today we're going to be answering everyone's big question when they ask, you know what, Nathan, why would my unconscious mind be sabotaging me like this? This is a question I've asked myself so many times throughout the years, and this is a question that my clients ask me a lot when they realize that they're sabotaging themselves. And I'm going to give you the first 2 steps to start breaking free. So let's go. So to begin with, it's important to understand that your unconscious mind is not your enemy. It's trying to protect you, and there is nothing wrong with that. That's one of its prime directives. The problem is that you're using an outdated software. What you need to understand is your unconscious mind, one of its primary jobs is to keep you safe. Your unconscious mind has a number of prime directives, and one of the main ones is to keep you safe. And this spawns from before modern society, when we had more danger from our lives, running away from saber-toothed tigers or whatever it is. But this is what it was designed for. It's to keep you safe. These days, it's different. It's still built in, but it's keeping us safe in a different way. So when you were a kid, when you were 5 years old, 10 years old, maybe even 15 years old, it learned what safe meant during those formative years. So think about it. And I know this is from my own experience as well. When you were young and someone criticized your idea, that can really hurt. That could have really hurt. And I know a lot of the times when I voiced my own ideas and they got criticized, I felt it. It wasn't like I could just wash it off and be like, oh, they didn't like it, I'll move on. It was like, well, my ideas suck or I'm not good enough. So my unconscious mind would learn that don't share your ideas because they might get criticized. Once again, keeping you safe from feeling like your ideas aren't worth sharing. Maybe you tried something new and you failed the first go. Your unconscious mind would learn like, well, just stick with what you know. I see that with my daughter a lot of the time. When she tries something new and she can't get it, she gets really upset. So I'm trying to teach her that keep trying and you'll get better, just like she did with her reading and with her writing and everything else. But in your life, you could have had something very similar where you tried something new, you didn't fail and you failed as a kid. And so now your unconscious mind has learned, well, just stick with what you know. It's safer. Maybe it was a time when you actually asked for help, put yourself out there and say, look, I need help, but you got rejected. Your unconscious mind may have learned will never show weakness. So these patterns, they are brilliant survival strategies when you were a kid, when you had no power and you had very limited resources. But now you're running a business. Now you're an adult. Now you've got significantly more responsibility and you've got those more resources as well. Those same protective patterns are killing your growth. So these are the 3 unconscious drivers which are running your business today. Number 1 is the protection protocol. Your unconscious mind will sacrifice your future to protect your present, to protect where you are now. This shows up in your current day in a variety of different ways. It could be in like, you won't make that risky call, that uncomfortable call because it feels dangerous. You won't raise your prices in your business or your consulting work, whatever it is, because the rejection feels very threatening. You don't want people to say no. Or you won't fire that underperformer because conflict for you feels scary. Then your conscious mind starts to create these rational explanations for everything that I've just said. The timing isn't right. The market won't support it right now. Oh, you know, that employee, they'll improve. They'll get better. But your unconscious mind is running that simple program. Keep everything the same. Keep everything safe. So the cost to you is that you're trading your long-term growth for very short-term comfort. And you don't even realize that you're doing it at the time. The second driver is the identity lock. And now this is where your unconscious mind will keep you consistent with who you think you are. This also shows up in different ways, where you think yourself as not a salesperson. Or you say to yourself, well, I'm not a salesperson. So you're sabotaging any business development that you do. You're unable to close a sale. You're unable to ask those hard questions, whatever it is. Or you see yourself as the person who struggles, who's the battler, who's in the trenches. So success feels uncomfortable when it comes. Or you identify as, the underdog. So staying small feels a lot more authentic because that's what underdogs do. So every time you're about to break through to your next level, your unconscious mind is in your ear and it's whispering, that's not who you are. So you unconsciously pull back. Why? Because your brain is wired for consistency. Changing your identity feels like dying, like you no longer exist. So your unconscious mind would rather keep you small and familiar than let you grow into someone completely unrecognizable. Then the third driver is the validation addiction. Your unconscious mind craves certainty. It chooses immediate validation over that delayed success. This shows up in how you're checking your emails constantly instead of doing the deep work, so you get that quick validation hit. It shows up in saying yes to everything, validating that you're needed. Or in how you're doing all that busy work instead of doing the strategic work, so you're validating that you're productive. Or it can show up in how you're staying in toxic relationships, validating that someone needs you. Your conscious mind thinks you're being productive, but your unconscious mind is just feeding that addiction of feeling needed, feeling wanted, feeling important right now. The brutal truth is that most business problems aren't business problems. They're unconscious mind management problems. I've always said that someone's business is a direct reflection of the business owner. And this has been so true in a lot of the work that I've done. When I speak to a client who wants to open up a second salon for like a second location for her kid's salon, but really she's got a deep fear inside her that needs some help. It's not the business. It's the fear of doing the actual step to create what she wants. You don't have a marketing problem. You've got an unconscious fear of visibility. You don't have a delegation problem. You've got an unconscious need for control. And you don't have a pricing problem. You have an unconscious belief of your worth. And until you see these patterns operating beneath your awareness, you'll keep solving the wrong problems. Let's talk about what this is costing you. Well, let's get really specific about the actual cost to your business. It costs you in your capacity to be able to make solid decisions. Every unconscious pattern that you're running in the background is using up your mental energy. You're not indecisive. You're exhausted from the eternal battle between what you consciously want and what your unconscious mind will let you have. That's why simple decisions feel impossible. Your conscious mind says, yeah, pick up the phone, make the call. But your unconscious mind says, oh, it's not safe. And you're stuck in the middle, paralyzed by a conflict that you can't even see. It costs your strategic vision, where you can't see the future clearly, and you're running these outdated patterns from the past. Your competitors, they're moving forward, but you're unconsciously retreating back to the same situations over and over, wondering why nothing changes. And it costs your energy and time. So how much time have you spent overthinking decisions that should take 5 minutes? Or redoing work that you can't let go of control? Or managing fires that your unconscious patterns have created? Or recovering from impulse decisions that you know were better not to make? So here's the $100,000 question. How much revenue are you not generating in your business because your unconscious mind won't let you charge what you're worth, show up visibly in the market, have difficult conversations with clients, or scale beyond your personal capacity? In part 1, I gave an example of the CEO that I worked with. That's the one who couldn't delegate. So before we worked together, this client, he was working 70 hours per week, made around 400K per year, was completely burnt out. After we broke his unconscious control pattern, he delegated around 60% of his workload. So worked 40-hour weeks, so cut back 30 hours off his week, and his revenue jumped to 600K. Same business, same market, different unconscious patterns. The stakes are really simple. If you stay unconscious, you stay stuck. But if you wake up, you break free. So how do you start breaking free? That's what we're going to cover next. The first 2 steps to start taking back your mind. You can't change what you can't see. So the first step is the pattern recognition. So you can't change what you can't see. So we have the awareness process. So part A is we identify your trigger situations. So what situations consistently produce the same unwanted result? And write them down. So think about every time I'm about to call a prospect, I find something else to do. Every time I delegate, I usually take it back within 48 hours. Or every time I'm close to hitting my revenue goal, I unconsciously create some sort of crisis that I need to put my attention to. And part B is name the pattern. Give it a name. Get it out of the shadows. Bring it into light. Not, oh, I'm just bad at sales, which is vague, which is identity based. Instead, well, I have an avoidance pattern about or around visibility. Specific. Behavior based. Give it a proper name. Not, I'm a control freak, which is very shame based. Instead, I have a trust pattern from my childhood that's showing up in my delegation, in what I'm doing. This is understanding based. This is bringing it into your awareness. Then part C, we have to track when it activates. So for 1 week, every time you notice a pattern activating, write it down. What was the situation? What was happening at the time? What did you feel right before the pattern took over? And what story did your mind tell you to justify the pattern? This can be confronting, and it's not about judging yourself. It's about collecting data. Because once you can see the pattern clearly, it loses half of its power. I mean, imagine that power just disappearing by 50%. You go from being controlled by the pattern to witnessing it. And that's when change becomes possible. So now we've covered the diagnostics. You can now see your patterns, providing you went through the exercise. And you understand the psychology behind it. You know why these patterns exist. But here's the real question. How do you actually interrupt these patterns in real time? How do you replace them with new patterns that serve you? That's exactly what we're going to cover in part 3 of this video series, which is coming out next week. This is the final piece of the puzzle. In the next video, I'm going to give you the pattern interrupt protocol and how to catch those patterns and make more conscious choices. Also going to give you the pattern replacement system, how to install new unconscious patterns, then the integration process, how to make these new patterns automatic. Because awareness isn't enough. You need a complete system. So part 3 is coming out next week, and this is going to be the exact process that I use with my 6-figure coaching clients to completely rewire their unconscious patterns. It's where everything comes together in a more practical system that you can use every day. Thanks so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. If you found value in this video, please share it and share part 1 as well. Leave a comment below if you wish and like the video. Thanks again, and I'll see you in part 3.